Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Ben, and joining me in the virtual studio today is Mr. Paul James.
What's up, how's things?
And to his right, or your left, I can't remember exactly where you are, but Pommy and Oz. Welcome, Pom.
Good afternoon/evening, whatever time the viewers are watching this. How's everyone?
Or morning. We don't know. We want to keep the viewers in suspense a little bit about when we record these shows. Clearly, I haven't changed my T-shirt since last week. Paul did. Well done, Paul. You've done a wash. I'm still wearing the black from last time around. But the theme for this episode is all things finals. Before I get into the show, a quick shout out to the sponsor, Cyril Cook Florists in Leather Street, Breakwater. Make sure you check them out. Tell them the Hoops Crew sent you, and they will look after you. I think it's a 20% discount 20%. In store if you shop in store. I know we're talking about some other ideas, but yeah, 20% in store. Anyway, let's get on with the show. Paul, I'm going to start with you. The first topic from the theme of tonight is the final system, the top 8 system. I'm going to just leave it there. You can go in any direction you want with that. What do you think about the top 8 system at the moment?
Look, I'm kind of half hijacking the topic a little bit, I suppose. Like we kind of half addressed this when we were talking about buys and the like with previous episodes. For me, I've got no problems with the 8. It's more specifically about the way they're using the buys, and I think that's kind of the flawed thing. It's creating equity in one way, which is nice and all fluffy, and everyone feels really good about themselves. Everyone goes in the finals on a closer to even keel, but also there's teams that played in the top 4 that earned it, and they're kind of losing the advantage that they potentially once had. So for me, I've got actually no problem with the top 8. I've got no problem with, I guess, the model that we've got in place, but it's more about how we get there and then how we navigate that period that for me is kind of the biggest concern at the moment.
Pom, what about yourself? Do you like it? Do you want to see some changes in the future? Where's your head at with it?
I think the 8 is here to stay, isn't it? I mean, it's had different denominations throughout the AFL, VFL history as we've had more teams, but I think that's traditional. My one reservation to tag on to Paul's is I find that at some point in the season, it seems to become like a bit like the final race in a Formula One race, where the champion's already run, and as long as he wins in the top 8, he wins it. The team start to stagger off just for that top 4. I would like more attention drawn to the guy that's won the season, finished the top of the ladder, because in my simple knowledge as an Englishman, I think it's a lot harder to finish number 1 after 20-odd rounds than it is to stagger and win the next 4 games to win a final. So I do find that a very complex thing as someone who's a 12-year fan of the game, that we've spent 22 weeks fighting for one, and then no one cares. Like the minor premiership, oh, well done. Now the real thing starts. It's like the worst foreplay in the world, isn't it, really?
And you don't even get any money for it anymore, because now it's got to be the best of both the AFL men's and women's. So the incentive that was there, and I'm not saying there's necessarily anything wrong with that, but at the same time, it's like the one big carrot to kind of finish first, because otherwise you could just finish second anywhere in the top 4 really to get your second chance, was, well, there's a big financial thing to it. But now your fate's in the hands of a whole other team that may be in a totally different position to yours. They might be a cellar dweller just based on where their list is developed at. So your incentive's even gone.
That's true. Look, I'm going to probably be with the 2% of the footy public out there that actually is quite interested in the idea of a wildcard round. But you need to hear me out. I'm not wanting to extend the final series by another week. I'm quite happy with the 4-week final series. I want the top 8 to stay as it is. But how does that work when you've got a wildcard round? Well, basically, it's like we always do this.
NBA, right?
With NBA, you have your play-in, so you have your teams 7 through 10. They basically have a sudden death game one weekend. That's just the whole weekend is dedicated to those 2 games, Friday and Saturday night. Sudden death, the winner. Don't ask me which one, but it basically beyond that it goes to a seeding. So, Pom, I don't know if this helps your situation too much, but the 1st versus 8th would be my recommendation. So you're giving that team that's worked really hard during the regular season a crack at the one of the play-in teams. So, and then it's 2nd versus 7th and 3rd versus 6th and 4th and 5th. And it's basically every game through finals is sudden death. I'm just not a huge fan of the second chance kind of stuff. I reckon it's just finals are so much more fun. I mean, I do like a qualifying final. Don't get me wrong, but I love a sudden death final. There's nothing better in footy to me than a sudden death final. Any strong objections to that, or to Paul, Pom? Anything what you've either said? I'm quite happy with your comments. I think they're all fine.
Pom, did you want to go first, Matt?
I just think if because it's 7-10 under your model, isn't it?
Wrong person, Ben.
There you go. Paul having a drink. Yes. So 1 to 6 are guaranteed finals, and then 7 to 10 are in the play-in.
Yeah, because just then me personally, I would be all for it if it was the top 6 go through straight up. Let's just say the top 4 go straight through, and then you maybe made it 6 to 10, and you had it 6 to the next lot there. I just feel like if 10 people are technically playing finals, even though some are playing in, that's over half the league, isn't it? So then you're basically saying it's not really that cool, because at the moment 8 it's less than half, isn't it? It's almost 40%, which makes a bit more sense to me. I would like to see it reduced even further to 6 and saying we're just playing with the 6 best sides, because let's be honest, historically 7th and 8th, they're just making up the numbers.
100% agree with that. I think 7 and 8th, one day there'll be a team that bobs up from 7th. Wasn't that the Bulldogs recently?
Yeah.
2016 was when they bobbed up and won the flag.
Seriously, how often is that going to happen? It may never happen again.
Well, Brisbane even just did it from 5th. So
yeah, yep, yeah, fair enough.
And that's kind of where my concern, I guess, around the pre-finals bye has been, is because it's giving those teams in the bottom half of the ladder that little bit of an advantage that. It's not really meant to work that way. The whole thing is kind of designed. Your top 4, you got your second chance, then you should be giving them those advantages instead of taking those advantages away to a degree by giving everyone a rest. So that's kind of where I've had those issues. But the wildcard model, I'm all in for. I've got no problems with that. They could use it in that pre-finals bye week, and then you can maybe have the Legends game, and you can have your women's season launch, and all those sorts of different things. And it becomes still a very active footballing weekend as well, as opposed to what we've got in that block at the moment, which is very quiet. Well, not existent, really. They launched the women's season in that week, though, this year, didn't they? I've lost track now, because they've changed it almost every year as they're still trying to work out what's what for the women's comp. I think that was where they dropped it, but you can build even more onto that. That's a great start, but you can put Legends in there. You can put a wild card round. You can really still make it this big celebration of football and not lose momentum anywhere.
No, that's the big killer, isn't it? With footy and finals. Finals is great, but it's just that little thing that's missing. All right, let's jump on to the next topic. This one comes up all the time. Usually comes up in around August or whatever. The grand final start time. And Pom, I might start with your good self. Are you a 2:30 kind of guy, or do you want to just bring on a bit of Katy Perry or a bit of Pink action in the evening? Where are you sitting with all this daytime or nighttime stuff?
You know what? As a man that's been to big games in my own country at night time, I think there is something ambiotic about a dusk setting, bright lights. The European Champions League games, they always feel special because they're 7:45 at night. And I know the big argument is, and it's one of my favourites because I've got young kids, and people go, oh, but what about the kids? Do you know what I mean? Late night. Welcome to parenting and teaching kids sacrifice. We all went to school tired. We all did. We all had late nights. So I'm open to it. I actually think for me, for a spectacle to sell en masse, I think a nighttime final, I'm all for it. And why not give it a go? Everyone hates change. I understand tradition. It's always been 2:30, Pom. Enjoy it. Why can't we change something? Because you never know until you try it. So I'm easy. I actually think the ambience of the halftime entertainment being at, say, 8:30 at night, imagine that just aesthetically. Melbourne's one of the most beautiful cities in the world. From up high, the camera angles, the night sky over the Yarra. I think aesthetically it would be beautiful.
It's a great point. The Yarra doesn't look so brown at night.
It doesn't.
No, I'm all for the idea of having it at nighttime. And I know, Pommy, you're talking about, traditionalists, and, we've always done it here. Well, we did actually just through circumstance, I guess, but did have a couple of years to kind of see it in a different time slot through the COVID years. And whilst it wasn't in Melbourne for COVID circumstances, I think it all worked really well. I mean, I don't look back overly fondly. Yeah, keep shaking your head, Ben. I know we don't look back overly fondly on the 2020 result, nor do we think about 2021 overly fondly either, given that prelim. But in terms of the spectacle of the night, I think it was great. And I'd like to see more of it. I think it works really well. And I know there's that whole argument about family-friendly times and all of those sorts of things, but I think most parents, and I won't speak for all, but I think most parents have kind of got, little scenarios where we'll make an exception to bedtime for this special event, or we'll make an exception for this special thing. And they're kind of that part of that give and take that you have with your children from time to time. And there's transactional parts of every sort of relationship, even parent to child. And sometimes, okay, well, you can have a late one here for the grand final because X, Y, Z. So I've got no real problem with it. And I think the conversation about, but families, I think is very much overblown.
Well, I'm not going to send my kids to bed at 8:30 on New Year's Eve in a few weeks' time. So, yeah, you're right. There's a special occasion.
Well, it probably depends on the age of the kids. I will be. Mine are 6 and 4, though. So
maybe, but I might let them start to 9 o'clock and we can watch the early fireworks. And we get some fat beats in the backyard. That's what we do on New Year's Eve.
But again, compromise, right?
Some sparklers and some fat beats, and my oldest daughter tries to scull a can of Solo. That's our little family tradition that we have. I'm gonna kind of go in the middle here. I think we're probably moving away from a 2:30 start. Yes, I know there's going to be 80% of the people on here that don't like that, but I don't like the 7:20 or 7:10 or anything. I think it's a little bit too late for me, and I don't think it needs to start that late. I like the 4:30 time slot on a Saturday afternoon. There's been a couple of games. I went to the Cats v Carlton game last year, or this year, still in 2024, and 4:30 time slot. The game ended in darkness. Halftime was, I think, dark as well. So it's a perfect opportunity. I guess the thing is, all of our entertainment is generally pre-game. I'd be open to extending the halftime break by 10 minutes or more, potentially, if it means Robbie Williams can do some cartwheels on the stage in the middle of the ground and we can put the stage together and all that sort of stuff. I don't know if that's possible or not, but I like the 4:30 time for me. I think that works, sits quite nicely. Any more thoughts from either of you on any of those options, or what anyone said on that?
I keep saying compromise. I think that's a pretty good compromise too, really. And I do, I think about some great games that have been played in that time slot. It wasn't a grand final, but I do think about, again, it was a good one result-wise for the Cats, but I think about the Geelong and the Pies qualifier from a few years back, which was that was an incredible spectacle. And it was a great game, which certainly helps, of course, but the time slot really suited the theatre of the whole thing. So there's something to be said for that too. You do get, at halftime, that nighttime sort of feel really kick in. So you can have kind of the theatrics that Pommy and I have been kind of talking about a little bit. But then you do, I guess, address the family-friendly component as well. Maybe, that might very well be the sweet spot.
Beautiful. All right, last topic for the evening is entertainment during the finals. So, Paul, I might stay with you on this one to get us going. So, I was throwing a few names in there: Pink, Katy Perry. I said Katy Perry, Robbie Williams, all that sort of stuff. What do you think needs to happen with entertainment in the grand final? But I'm happy for you to sort of say during the regular season as well, if you've got thoughts on that.
Look, I don't have any really super serious extreme thoughts on the whole thing. I know there's kind of been this push and pull over the years to kind of have Aussie talent and international talent because it attracts eyes and ears. You can kind of see a bit of a tug of war kind of taking place on I think even internally within the AFL, they're trying to work out the sweet spot where they can kind of respect all sides. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I think the last couple of years, they've gotten closer and closer to the mark. They've kind of had Aussie faces. Now, I don't know, maybe because I'm just becoming an older bastard now, there's more and more of the young Aussie indies that are kind of coming through. I've got no idea who they are for the most part, and that's a little bit depressing. But, I'm not crazy about her music, but I know Katy Perry when she appears on stage, or, Robbie Williams. I go, I know Robbie. They're kind of getting the big tent pole that will speak to millions, hundreds of millions across the world, and then they're able to kind of splice in the smaller, more niche acts. And so it's working well, I think, what they're doing. My vote, just to get ahead of 2025's grand final now, since Linkin Park have reformed, if they could just get Linkin Park along, that'd be great. And we'll just toss. Yeah. Anyway, that's my personal 2 cents in, or a bit of Green Day, that'd be great. But anyway, let's I'll take that out of it for now. I think the model they're going for largely works, but to your point from the last one, if they add an extra 10 minutes in, I wonder what they could do. And, when we talk about Twilight, what could they do? I think there's opportunities that kind of link more with your last comment that could serve as great opportunities for future growth.
Tom, what do you think?
I mean, this sounds weird because I'm an Englishman advocating for Australian talent, but I find it bizarre. Like, honestly, I love Robbie Williams. He's one of my own. Do you know what I mean? We share a surname. But why in the hecky peck is Robbie Williams doing Australia's biggest sporting event? Why isn't that an Australian artist? Why isn't that an Australian artist? Because I hate to break it to the AFL, England doesn't care about your sport. America doesn't care about your sport. China doesn't care about your sport. The world doesn't care about your sport. The only people that it will appeal to is expat Australians. For me, that should be traditional great Australian bands. Like, you've got loads of them. We've all heard of them. For me, that is the chance there. Because it was an estimated 25 million internationally watched it. It was available to. Isn't that a great time there to get a young up-and-coming Australian band or a band that is taking off and starting their career at the centre stage of and being proud to be Australian? Like, it's the best time in the world. It brings families together. Most of my mates I've met and have now is because I went to a grand final party and I didn't even know what the game was. But everyone was watching this sport, having a few beers, and then telling me, Pom, have you ever heard of Jimmy Barnes? And me go, no, who's he? Right? So for me, stop the international acts, because everyone always says the NFL do it. Yeah, American artists, because they're American. Do you know what I mean? Eminem might have escaped everyone's attention. He's American. England, we've had like The Enemy, The Clash have done our big events. They're English. Why can't we have great Australian bands doing it? And I think, what's the best part? Up There Kazali. For me, I have never seen a grand final entertainment rival that dude with a guitar. Like, he gets people on their feet. So why can't it be local Australian talent showcased at a great Australian event?
So you heard it here first. Pom wants Tina Arena to headline. A bit of Delta good. No. I'm with you, Pom. Actually, I always get a bit weird when you get the international acts over and they don't know what they're doing, and it just doesn't feel. It's not the right vibe. Tell you what, I'd love. I can't remember who you said, Paul, but I would love a bit of a Silverchair reunion. I think you said Lincoln.
Oh yeah, that'd go right.
Oh, a bit of Daniel Johns and crew, just getting back together. Maybe do a
powder back.
I went to a powder chair concert. Powderfinger and Silverchair.
Oh yeah, that one.
They joined forces and took over the world for a week or two. Went to a concert in Ballarat under the circus tent. That was fantastic. So get them on the stage. Silverchair reunion, 2025 grand final. Here we come. I think you can't really do grand final entertainment well if we keep the 2:30 time slot. I think it's going to be hard to make a case to say that, yeah, it's doable. It's just not. Like, we've seen it for years and years, decades now. It just looks rubbish. Halftime stuff looks great. Pom, I'll pull you up a little bit here. Rihanna, she's from Barbados, isn't she? Didn't she do the Super Bowl one year? So America, they've got to pull their head in, get their own people in.
Yeah, but if you hit a golf ball pretty well, you can hit Barbados from Miami.
True. Very true.
And she lives in LA, so she's technically
she's
technically a Yank.
They've absolutely adopted her, just like us with Russell Crowe in New Zealand.
Ed Sheeran lives here half the time, doesn't he? He always seems to be in Australia.
He has a spot only 20 minutes up the road from me.
Look, it'd be the same like Kylie Minogue. Like, let's settle this. Kylie Minogue is English, right? She defected. She's ours now. So if Kylie Minogue did it, I'd be like, what's the Pom doing grand final entertainment? Give me an Aussie. But I just genuinely think, you look at that vibe, I just think, how much did he pay this year? Something like 2 million, wasn't it, Katy Perry?
5.
Well, here we are talking about it in well, I don't want to give it away, but we're in December when we're recording this show, but still talking about
2 million for her to ride a mobile dildo singing a song off key. Like, about $2 million could have gone to a young Australian band, got Jimmy Barnes there, got someone big, and really showcase the local talent, which I think is what the people want. I want to see that. Like, I can see Katy Perry anytime, and that's the time that I pray I'm blind.
Very good. Well, we've said what we think. Let us know what you think in the comments, everyone. Guys, thank you very much. It's been fun. We'll be back same time next week. I think we're going about 8 o'clock Friday nights now with these shows, but same time next week. Don't forget to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Pom, thank you. Paul, legend, myth as a legend always. I've got that all stuffed up. But thanks, guys. Until next time, go Cats and go Blues, I suppose. Take care, everyone. See ya.
Go Cats, Blues.
Where the cats are born, they play with pride from dusk to morn. With a loyal crowd, we jump and cheer. Funky tunes echo, let's make it clear. Oh, Geelong, we're feeling fine. Come and join the Geelong thrill.